Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. Welcome back to Coast series. So here we are, as always, at the start of every episode, figuring out what the work is that we're going to do. So, longest job available to us is hauling some curtains from Halifax to Villanueva, which is basically similar to a route, and definitely similar to pieces of routes that we've done, but this would really be kind of running the same route. Good amount of pay, it's an important delivery, and good amount of miles. Of course, we have going down to Mexico. So kind of scanning through these, which are just standard deliveries. The next one that caught my attention was these clothes, also from Halifax, but staying in Alberta. Now, it's taking me down through this area. The difference here is this is an urgent delivery. So while it's actually less money because it's 400 miles shorter, so even though it's a little extra per mile, it just doesn't work out. The other piece is I just didn't know if we had another issue like with the break in the other map. Like, why isn't it just taking me through Canada? And then if I was successfully able to route that way, would it really be worth it for the miles? So there was a little bit of leeriness there. So this one then caught my attention. Real high value per mile. Heading down a little bit further west and down similar into Baja, because obviously there's only so much there, but it's a high value and an important delivery. But comparing things, just wasn't quite sure. And so then the final one that caught my eye was this nitrocellulose out of Whitehorse going to Maniwaki, Quebec. And so if I look at that, this kind of does what I expected, which is, okay, I'm driving in Canada, as opposed to dropping down in the US and then coming back up to Canada. So it at least gives me some comfort. There's some sort of a road network there, but again, maybe going around, and then maybe the only way down to Calgary is come up here and go down, and so it was shorter to go the other way. I don't know for certain how that all panned out, but in any event, when I look at all of these, even though this is 3,123 miles and the other one's 3,712, I think, so almost 600 miles more, because of how the modifiers are set, so fragile cargo and urgent delivery, and then keep in mind we're also going to get some money for hazmat and so forth. Whoops. Where here we've just got one thing. We don't, we've just got the time sensitivity. The nitrocellulose actually makes more experience. It's actually, instead of being about $35, $36 a mile, it's $50. So this seemed to be the best. It's also using a very strange, it's using one of these KAMAZ trucks. So we'll get a chance to see that. So that's even an additional benefit to this. So this is the job I'm going to take for this episode. Alright, so here we are in clearly what looks like a refinery of some sort. Chevron is what I see on the mini-map. An area of Whitehorse we haven't been in. Let's take a quick look. So we're hauling for chems. Again, not ever seen one of these KAMAZ trucks, so just totally unfamiliar with these. Just taking a peek at what we've got here. Kind of an interesting spot to have things, delivering on the back end. This could be a challenging thing. So let me get my lights turned on like normal. That was interesting. It actually made the dashboard go lighter. What have we got here? So probably the gear. I'm assuming the trip above the 392,030. If I cycle, okay, miles still empty. Clearly a Russian truck of some sort. So don't know how I feel about that, given the whole state of the world right now. I'm assuming that's my cruise control speed. But, I'll have that on the dashboard. I'm just trying to figure out I don't know. That's probably better than having the little horse or whatever. I assume that's a horse. So let's take off and go from here. So yeah, there must be some sort of a map add-on we did that puts these trucks in. It's definitely not a mod that I have separately, but obviously one of the maps we've got added in adds Kamaz in here. Alright, so we're coming from this space in Whitehorse, basically goes straight down the main drag. We're definitely going to stop and get fuel, because we know how that goes. So certainly the con to this whole thing is there's likely not going to be a lot of exciting scenery to talk about here. That might not be entirely true, although again I don't know my provinces, because I was going to say, you know, we do have that Ontario thing, but actually I think Quebec is before Ontario, so I think we're not actually going to hit any of that. So I was going to say at the tail end maybe we'll get lucky, but I don't think that's actually true. So no, it actually looks, I don't know, I mean it could be the cruise, I guess. Well, that is a weird sound turn signal, but because right now it's clearly just showing me the speed, but again there's not much else of interest on my dash options. It looks like those trucks may have run into each other. Alright, let's fill up. We're not going to get a lot of miles because we were over half and we had 301. Wow, this is by far the worst truck we've had. 504 miles is what we get when full here. I was looking in my mirror, so I didn't turn blind. But, so, yeah, we'll head out of Whitehorse. We've made a mile, 3,122 instead of 3,123. And so stats in total, we're hauling 37,357 pounds of nitrocellulose, which basically I think is, it's not nitroglycerin, but I think it's still an explosive of some sort, which I think is why it's fragile, because in theory the thing would probably explode if we had significant bumps or things like that. So it's telling me 3 hours and 8 minutes in real time, which is not bad. That means it'll actually be significantly shorter than the last episode, if that's accurate. One thing I do like about this truck, at least, it does seem to speed up pretty quickly, so it does seem to have some good power, which is something I would expect from, you know, Eastern European Soviet equipment. You know, I think they're very much built for utility and not for beauty or whatever. I mean, as we can see, it's a pretty basic instrument panel. You know, nothing that we've got that is going to get anybody excited about that. So yeah, so clearly that's just digital speed, because I do have my cruise set at 70. We don't see that anywhere on the digital readout at this point. So it's alright, we'll leave it there, and then you'll get a clear view if you're not looking at the top of the screen or whatever of where we're at. And once again, I just have to be careful of the turn that we ran off the road with, because again, now we have the issue of fragile cargo, where if we make a mistake, we're going to lose experience, and that would kind of negate the whole point of taking this. So while I want to be efficient in my travels across Canada, I don't want to get into any accidents or anything that's going to cause me an issue. So yeah, it's just really interesting. Like if I turn my lights off, those are off, and now you can see the dashboard is brighter. If I turn them back on, it does that. I don't understand. Maybe in the night it looks clearer. Maybe it's like some sort of daylight type of thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, finishing the stats, we're down below 62 hours of actual drive time. But we have 141 hours, so we're scheduled to deliver Saturday at 1:18 is our deadline. So nearly a week to get our nitrocellulose across Canada. So the nice thing is it'll give me some exposure because, as I said, I'm much less familiar with Canadian province order sequence. I mean, clearly I've learned like British Columbia and... Okay, so this was the place that I think I had a problem. Although, I don't know, I just don't remember being so close to an interchange when I then straightened out and took off, so who knows where I had the problem. But either way, the important thing is I haven't had a problem. Yeah, look at how weird that arrow is. It's almost like it's just a badly modeled truck. I don't know. So maybe whoever did the mod, they need to do some different things for lighting. I'm not sure. But it's late afternoon. It'll definitely be one of those, if we have the opportunity, we'll go ahead and we'll stop toward evening. Just keep ourselves on daylight driving, because there's not really a reason to do otherwise. Not that there's an expectation of seeing a lot. But the hope here is, yeah, we go through this relatively quickly. Again, it's going to give us in the high 8,000s of experience, so similar to what we've had before. But instead of driving much closer to the 4,000 miles, we're driving at 3. So, and we're making a good wage. So, all in all, probably one of the better things we could take. And once again, for my VTC logging, it goes ahead and gives me that opportunity to have a hazmat load as well. So very cool on all fronts. It kind of bangs on all cylinders for... Whoops. I was just moving right along thinking it's these turns that I don't have to worry about. Luckily, she chirped in my ear enough that I caught it and was able to do it without too much of a problem. I think I would have stopped maybe past the intersection. I mean, it wouldn't have been... I don't think I would have ran into the invisible wall, which I think would have been a damage potential too. I also like, if I look at the gears up top, it says 8L, so I don't know if that's like 8 low, because I'm still accelerating, and then maybe it goes to 8 high, like once you're... Yeah, there you go, 8H. Huh. So definitely... Oh, and on my sim dashboard it shows as 16. So that's somewhat interesting. So I wonder if like there's a low-high, and that's how the gears are set up in these trucks, but they basically are an 18-speed gearbox is what we're looking at, or maybe it is just a 16-speed, because we are already going 64, and so it may just be a little bit of a different availability. So the other thing we're still going to try to do here is look for truck dealers, but I just don't know how many there are up here in Canada. Maybe there aren't any. I know for sure, for a while, there aren't any cities around that really give us much of anything to even try to look at, because obviously out amongst the trees, they're not setting up a truck dealership here, so... I'm not sure if that next turn is tight. It looks like as I'm coming up on it, it's not actually that bad, so I'm gonna just keep moving. So, we're already approaching just 3,000 miles, so we've already gone like 200 miles out of Whitehorse. This should be a very familiar drive to us at this point. Like it or not, we Whitehorse just seems to be the place that everyone wants to hire us from. So, certainly that crawler tractor, kind of went across the U.S. again, but it would have gone the same route that we had with the one load that we went to LA and unlocked the harbor, which gave us the ability to get ourselves to Jamaica. So, we would have gone through Nebraska and all that. Not that we can't redo routes. Obviously, we're coming out of Whitehorse all the time, but the goal was certainly, if I could avoid a total duplicate route, which would have been the first one as well, I can, but I have to balance that with, if my only other options then are really, really detrimental on experience, sometimes we just have to suck it up and run it. Because the reality of truckers is, many times they're going to run those same routes over and over. So yeah, the Yukon is not, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but Yukon is not actually a province of Canada. I think it's a territory. I think it is a Canadian territory. I don't think it's a U.S. territory, so I don't think it's like somehow attached to Alaska. But there's a truck coming. Okay, the bus is backing off. All good. So British Columbia is the westernmost province that Canada has. So a little bit of trivia, I guess, I learned is, I know the U.S. is looking at potentially finally joining other major areas of the world that have stopped observing daylight savings time. I think we're still at the point where it's, was proposed and passed the Senate, and I think it has to go to the House of Representatives to become official. I don't think that's happened yet, and I'm hoping it will. I mean, I'm saying yet as if it's a foregone conclusion, because I really don't know why we wouldn't do it. All the drivers that I've ever understood of why it exists, and my reading of it has always been, farmers in the days before electricity is kind of why it was put into place. And currently farmers would prefer it go away because it frankly causes them more difficulty. So there's not a constituency that I'm aware that is all about, I really want to keep daylight savings time. I can't think of a one, even a little one. So it's not, let alone a majority constituency that would matter enough to cause it to not get approved. But it's even not something that I think a small group wants. So I'm pretty sure it'll pass, which would be great, because we've kind of been talking about it for many, many years. Like, it would just be easier, because every time there's a time change, it just kind of tosses everybody off for a few days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. For different people, it's different impacts. But my understanding is British Columbia has, because I think the rest of Canada has already gone away from it, British Columbia has been observing it because they have such close ties to Washington State. And I don't know if that's because a lot of Canadians then work in Seattle across the border, or just do business across the border, with other businesses, and so they want to kind of stay on the same time, whatever it is. But we heard news reports that, the people in British Columbia are waiting with anticipation, because as soon as we stop it, they will change as well, because they kind of want to stay on the same cycle as Washington. And they've also, just like our folks, had a desire, we'd really prefer not to be on this, but because Washington does it, we do it. Alright, I'm definitely stopping for gas, and at this point I will stop and rest as well. But yeah, I'm down to 266 miles still empty already. You know, I'm halfway, and this was literally the first gas station outside of town. That may be our lot in life here, is we may just literally have to stop for fuel every time we see it. You know, that probably won't be the case with resting, because we're only at 9 hours, but this will give me 4 a.m. and it'll get me closer to, well, I don't know, maybe I'll go a little bit later, because this will give me 4 a.m. and then unless I always run the 14 hours, then we're going to be like at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. So let me go a little deeper. Maybe we'll rest at the next location. And if there's fuel there, we'll certainly top off. It's not like it takes extremely long to fuel up these trucks, as you can see. Good news is nobody's coming, so we can just plow ahead. So there we go. 6H is 12 on my sim dashboard. So yeah, that appears to be what it is. And then it went to 14, 7H. So it looks like there's a low and a high. Let me just check here real quick. So I want to look at my truck dealer map and see. So we're here. Yeah, so you can see Yukon is like up there, and so that's why we're crawling. Okay, so Alberta we already have. Yeah, it doesn't look like, to see these question marks are where you'd have truck dealers, so it doesn't look like we actually have any truck dealers. Although, is that? No, that is interesting. Doesn't mean there wasn't a question mark there, but I just find it strange that there's nothing else. So we might need to just look at the map in general. So let me do that. Since we can zoom in on things. Yeah, this is just a repair shop. And then we go a long way before we hit another town, so we'll just plow along for a bit.
Go straight on.
So, what we're looking for those unfamiliar with why I'm suddenly taking an interest in truck dealerships, as we near the point where we're going to be buying a truck, I'd like to have the options available to explore every manufacturer. And so right now we're missing Western Star. So we have not found a Western Star dealership yet. And so that is what I'm trying to do. But yeah, the road here clearly goes between those, you know, Northwest Territories, Yukon up there, and the provinces on the northern, or at the south side, but the northern end of the provinces is what I was going to say. So we're kind of flitting along that border, which is why we keep going between Yukon and British Columbia on this road. But then shortly we'll turn south for a while and eliminate that possibility. Alright, so at this point we can go faster, so I'm going to increase my GPS to 80. Definitely will have to keep track of what's coming up on the roads, because I do think there's another one of those very tight S-curves at some point not too far away here. And once again, the goal is to not have an accident and run off the road in some way. But we're clearly catching this bus. Hopefully we'll be able to do a clean pass somewhere. It looks like we're going to have to slow down again. We are. So we got a little bit, although it looks like right there we're going to be right back into British Columbia again. So we're, as I said, very much flitting along the border. So of course it'll probably be like, yeah, go back up to 74. But I guess we'll see. So back in BC. And so we've gone through here enough where I know this side, if I've learned it right, it's British Columbia, Alberta. Okay, there's a car coming, I can see that, so I want to slow down a bit. Well, I'm going to have to slow down more than a bit, it looks like. This probably is just not a good thing. But I'd really like to get by the bus, and I did. Alright. So the traffic does appear pretty light up here. Alright, this one looks pretty sharp. So we're going to try to be careful here. But yeah, we're not back up to 74 like we were for a moment before. So, just watch the back so that we don't get an accident. Yeah, but this is definitely a couple tight. But now that'll take us up to 74. So we'll increase it in the possibility that we can do this. But not sure that we really will be able to. But if nothing else, there's a hope that maybe we'll get a few towns discovered here that could turn into some other route possibilities, obviously, because we'll have different points that we can originate from. And, but the likelihood is those would then go down into Mexico, so we have that same challenge of I may have a really good route, but it's going to be long. Because obviously I think when I looked at what we ended up clocking in at on the last episode was 4 hours, 48 minutes. So darn near 5 hours, shaving 2 hours off a route. If that's what they are, if I could do 3 hours and 3 hours, I can get 2 runs done in just slightly more time than I can get 1 done if I'm heading down to Mexico, is what it looks like. So it's pretty tough to argue that if I can make 16 to 18,000 XP versus making 8 or 9 in the same time period, that wouldn't be worthwhile. Alright, so now we're getting to the point where now it's starting to get dark. But I haven't changed my lights, and now you can see that the instrument panel is more appropriate for what we would expect at night. So I guess the way it's set up, in the daylight it just kind of washes itself out. But so it is interesting. But for some reason, just visibility wise, it's getting harder. It's like the road is blending more, and maybe we're like getting more of a reflection off the windshield is what it is, because it's like the instrument panel is somehow getting projected up there in this really strange way. But it's more challenging to drive for me right now. I don't know why, but in any event, next rest stop we see, and it might be, I don't know if we're going to hit Dawson Creek this way, because I'm not sure if that's a traveling down into the U.S. situation or not. Obviously right now we're still on the same roads we normally are, so I would think we would, because I think it's before Edmonton. But the next spot I have an opportunity to rest. Now I'm at a point where I would do that, because then even if I stop at like 13 hours or something, I'm still at 5 a.m. or whatever. And at this point, given that I don't see anything, I'm thinking I have nothing to worry about, as I'm going to be getting much deeper into the morning hours. Because, yeah, we're coming up on where if we rest, we'll be 7 a.m., so an hour or two back is going to be 6 or 5 a.m. We've got a little bit of fog coming up out of the valley, it looks like. Kind of an interesting effect, for sure. Coming up on 2 vehicles, which is never a great thing when you're trying to do a pass. So this is the slightly sharper curve that we've stopped at before. I don't think it's incredibly sharp. Alright, good news is a car just went by, so that probably means we don't have another one coming. Not that it's an exact science, but once again, it's relatively light on traffic here, which is good given that it's a 2-lane road. Otherwise, it would be pretty nasty to get stuck behind someone that's going a lot slower and then you can't pass because there's traffic. We've got construction here, though. So this might be the thing that I've run into before that said, oh, did it appear, or is it always here? So maybe it's always here to kind of just give us something to do. But let's see where we're appearing. All right, so Fort Nelson. Again, but I may pull off to do some rest. That'll also then give us an opportunity to fuel up and so forth, but it'll give us, more importantly, a discovery of something we haven't had. And because if I push beyond this, then I'm going to be at like midnight or something again, and I'm not looking to get that late into the cycle, because as it is, I might not get there till I figured he was going to go, and I don't know why he stopped. It's a green light. I get there's a line, but this is then how we get messed up. So, not enjoying its method there. Oh goodness. Fine, you stop. I'm going to try to get by you, but of course now you're going to speed up and you're going to thwart my plans. Oh my gosh. He slowed down again. Such an unsafe Canadian driver. I don't understand. I suppose just because they're proverbially nice doesn't mean that they're proverbially good drivers. I'm kind of projecting that incongruency, so not a good thing. All right. So we have our plan, but yes, it does look like there really aren't truck dealers up here. So we may not get our Western Star opportunity here. And unfortunately, it will lengthen things a little bit until I discover that, because as I go, I certainly don't want to mistakenly pass something up. Because again, like, I'm hopeful if we pass Dawson Creek that maybe there is one there. Because that one was definitely a larger city. And we just may not have gone, by the right location to discover something. But because all I need, is the right one. So just because I only find 1 or 2 dealers, it might not be like, ooh, it's not as good as 10. I just need the correct one. I just need Western Star to show up. And being out west, if I was Western Star, I'd be like, yeah, I want dealerships out in the west. It goes with my name. So I would have fought to place them out west. So my hope is if we're here in Western Canada still, that would be what happens, but we'll see. Yeah, see, so we're already at 10 p.m. and we're still not at Fort Nelson. So definitely a good idea to rest for the evening when we get there. We've got to be close, though. It wasn't that far on the map, so 2,630 miles. So we've done a good amount of travel here. Always a good thing. So I don't think this one's super sharp, but it's still sharp enough. Now I thought Fort Nelson was down to the south, so I don't think this is it. Yeah, it's probably just appearing there.
Go straight on.
Yep, Fort Nelson straight. Yep, there's the chevron that was up in the corner. So we're coming upon our point here in a moment. So it looks like, it's interesting because it looks like we've gone down there, like we have discovered that road, but somehow we didn't discover Fort Nelson itself. Very interesting.
Finding a new route.
But at this point, yeah, I think because the gas is over there, I'm going to go to the right, and if we don't discover it then, I start to think that Fort Nelson just isn't discoverable. Oh, interesting. Now we did. Ooh. Whoops. I cut that a little tighter because of that car that was there. Alright, no damage that I can see. I think that 1% is just, again, the wear and tear of 700 miles of driving. You know, nothing had popped up as a box about damage, so I figured we were okay, but I can't see for sure that nobody was there, so I wanted to go slow in case I had to stop and reposition.
Turn right.
There's some signs there that were a little tricky to see in the dark, but so yeah, I think that's just a repair shop again, as I said. But yeah, we were down to 200 miles to empty, so we definitely need to fill up. But it's just really interesting. I mean, because even before I turned, we had discovered Fort Nelson. So I just don't understand why we had not... I am just getting stuck on poles left and right with this trailer. I don't understand why. Alright, so we've got a winery or something here. Ernest and Julio Gallo. Doesn't really look like a winery, it just looks like a bunch of sheds. Alright, so we've got the service center. Again, the entrance to these is so tight. But I think if I go out this way, because I'd prefer to leave the trailer attached if I could. And then I think if I circle around this way, hopefully it'll give us the rest point. Come on. There we go. Because I can back up if I need to.
Okay, here we go.
Alright, trying to pull out in the morning. A little bit of a tight turn there. But yeah, we need to head up back. Well, what looks up from here. I don't know that it's truly north. Alright, we scraped past that railing again, really tight.
Get ready to turn left.
But we will turn here, and then that will head us up and out, which is what we want to be doing. So yeah, at this point it tells us 1 high, that's 2nd gear, 3 high, 6th gear, so yeah, that's exactly what that is, so once and for all. It's a 16-speed gearbox,
Go straight on.
and it's just split into a low and a high gear for each area. But the nice thing with discovering Fort Nelson is we should at least at this point, I think we've got at least 3 locations that we can originate from. We've got the Centex, the Chevron, and then I think it's Cascadian Farms. I'm not sure that this is going to stay green long enough, but it's not going to be from lack of trying, that's for sure. Look at that, we're good. So just started to turn yellow.
Turn right.
But we'll head on. Let him go through. And then we should be able to take off after that. Alright. And then it's just a matter of obviously getting up to speed and moving along. So again, a pretty sharp turn, but given that we just are accelerating, I don't think we're going to be going super fast there, so I'm just going to let it continue to accelerate. And that should all work out well, and it will, as I can see here. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think we're in Alberta yet. I don't remember if we crossed into that. If we did, I apologize for forgetting or saying it and forgetting it. I don't know. But it'll be curious, like once we get past the new space or the space that we've been in before, if this just continues to look the same way. I have really no reason to believe that it will change, but there's always the hope. But I think we've still got a long way to go, because usually I think we're at least going 1,000 miles east here before we start heading south, and we've got a little ways to go, several hundred miles yet before we get to that point. But because I think once we get to Edmonton, like if we wanted to go to Calgary, we go south, but I think we did go east of Edmonton as well, so we may have like a 1,500 or 2,000 mile journey before we have any possibility of hitting anything new. But obviously at some point in kind of the central, and then we're not really getting all the way over to the eastern provinces. But so yeah, we're going from chevron to chevron here. So, you know, which makes sense from a chemical standpoint. Yep, a hard turn there, so that was more challenging to stay on the road, but I kind of felt we'd be having that, so I let it kind of fall off. Just hard to see, but yep, there is something coming, a bus. So that's not too bad. And it was certainly far enough away. But I don't know if we're going to have to stop at Dawson Creek as well, but I guess we'll take a look what it looks like when we get closer. But time-wise, again, I don't think we would. It's just going to be more what fuel looks like at that point. Because, yeah, with only 500 miles, that means we're at least stopping 6 times to refuel. So obviously this time was just the first. But if we can have this speed going along, that can be really helpful for moving along as well. I just don't know if that will be the speed limit we'll have across most of Canada or not. Obviously we didn't have it much in Yukon. So yeah, I'm gonna start, I think I'm gonna try to start looking at a few, you know, some other options for ATS 2, perhaps, or maybe ETS, I don't know. I did try to fire up the real economy save I had, and it won't even load, so it's possible that some of the mods are not updated enough for what we have, so we may not be able to revisit that as I had suggested. And I also need to be careful that I'm not introducing too many different type of series right now, because the challenge still becomes, with the limited amount of time, it would be a long break for someone who was interested in a specific series to then see another episode from that. Because if I'm basically doing, the plan would be an ATS episode every 4th day if I'm running and able to maintain that pace. And then, if I have, say, 3 series even going, I mean, that means you're waiting 12 days for the next episode, where even 8 days, where basically every week you're getting something for the series. That at least seems manageable. But if I'm starting to extend that, that just seems a little bit foolish. So I'm going to try to pick one of 2 things maybe, and I'll see what I can pull off there. Again, a pretty tight looking turn. I think I may have been able to make it, because I obviously didn't slow down that much, but it's just so nerve-wracking to worry about, because like once you realize you can't make it, like you're literally not able to turn, and you can't react fast enough to stop the truck from crashing into stuff off the road. So once it leaves the road, those bumps get pretty dangerous. So we got that little patch there on the road. Alright, so here's our favorite S-turn. But depending on which one it is, yeah, this doesn't look too bad, so we're able to keep moving, which is excellent. But yes, I'm thinking we might move up 1 level here, because if I remember, we're just barely into the level, and we've got enough at this point that as far as the size, the number of experience points needed to change levels, that even 10,000 I think doesn't cut it. So, and that's again why I had mentioned before that I've never had $1 million in cash before I got to level 30, because usually I was doing it with jobs that might have been 2,500 miles, and even if it was a lot of bonuses for different things like fragile cargo and so forth, it still would only add up to 5,000-6,000 experience points each time, which sometimes didn't even get me a level. I mean, the good thing is, when I'm talking about around 9,000, I think in any case we're still not at that big of a gap for the levels. I'd have to look. I don't have it. I kind of have it handy. I just need to slide something over without running off the road, and of course then I have to be able to read it. But yeah, from 27 to 28, we're talking about 65 or almost 7,000. So, but yeah, so a 9,000 is still going to probably be okay through level 30 to get me up there. There's a lot of traffic suddenly, because it's like if I want to pass these cars, I'm suddenly looking at a multiple car situation, which is obviously more challenging. I did pass 2 with the last pass, but counting on that, and at this point I'm worried we're looking at a 3. Oh boy, they're gonna turn. That was a bad move on my part. I mean, at least I was able to tell what was gonna happen, because yeah, that would have been really bad. Alright, so now we're past everyone. I didn't realize there was an intersection, otherwise I probably wouldn't have pulled that off. So, not the best move on my part. definitely did have to slow down quite a bit, so I'm not sure how much I really gained. But we're at about half gas is what the indicator's telling me now. I think the fuel gauge, yeah, it's on the right, so you can see it at the bottom right there. Temperature gauge is next to it. And then I'm assuming the others are oil pressure and battery charge, maybe? The other two small gauges at the bottom. Because obviously, other than that, I think we're looking at RPM and speed. So yeah, I think we got, going from west over, we've got British Columbia, Alberta, and then Saskatchewan. But then I'm not sure. I think after it is Manitoba. But we'll see when we get there. Alright, is this, I think this is Dawson Creek. It is. We know we don't have to go there. And then I think our next one is Edmonton, which we've discovered a truck dealer. So it's obviously not Western Star, whatever it is, but we have gas there, so the real question is, can we get that far? You would like to think we can, but I'm just worried. I'm just worried, but I'm going to try it. I hope I won't regret it. Because we do have over 230 miles, a little bit over, so that would seem to be more than enough, but Canada may be deceptively large. And we have 10 hours, so to rest, that I'm not worried about. I'm comfortable we can get that far. What I'm less comfortable of is, again, the fuel. Yeah, we are strangely kind of catching everything. Again, this looks extremely sharp of a turn, and it is, so I'm glad I slowed down, because even that was a challenge to make. Alright, there we go. So now we're into Alberta. Which is where Edmonton and Calgary are, so we know we're in the right province, at least, with over 200 miles to go. But we're at just about 2,300 miles in total to go, so not quite even at 1,000 miles on our journey yet, because we do have our trip indicator there. We're at 835, it looks like, so that gives me some hope, because obviously we were in Yukon territory, and then we basically crossed a good portion of British Columbia, and that's only been 800 miles, so there's a possibility. I mean, we do have an area here that we kind of jog over, and I think it's right after this hill. So once we go past that, that's kind of a key milestone on the way, and that was maybe a third of the way. So if we hit that soon, then that will bode well. I was hoping it was up at the top of that hill, but clearly not. So, again, not much scenery to discuss, not many cities to discuss. It's just a lot of driving that happens up here. Alright, that looks like where we'll be moving over. It's probably going to be with 150 miles to go, so certainly not a great situation. But yep, that is where we go. So we're not going to pass this truck if we even have that opportunity. But I don't think we will. So hopefully, no, he's turning with us. I was going to say hopefully he just keeps going.
Turn left.
And then we won't have to worry about him, but no such luck. And then we just head up to that little road and turn right, and yeah, we're at 155 miles. Turn on the turn signal. That'll at least usually keep someone at bay from coming up on us.
Get ready.
Not always, but it's at least a nice attempt. Alright, well now he's continuing straight, so that's good. So we'll have no one immediately in front of us that we know of. And yeah, but there is someone on the road up there I can see. And I don't think this stays 2 lanes, but it may. Because if it does that, then it really doesn't matter who's ahead of us, because if we catch them, we should have a passing lane. But we're down to 69 instead of 74 as our top speed. So that would slow our progress down a slight bit, but we're not even up to that minimum speed yet. We're still accelerating. Let's see if I change that map. Alright, so that's about as far out as it gets, but that'll give us a little bit of a view. You can see even at that extremely zoomed out ratio, at the speeds we're going, we're actually traversing that map. You know, noticeably. I mean, we're moving along, so it's just a question of, once again, getting down to the appropriate area. Because, yeah, pretty soon we're going to start getting the ding for running out of fuel. Probably before we get to that intersection. If not, it'll be very close. Because, yeah, we have 115 miles, and it usually starts doing that at 100. So we're definitely going to learn something here about whether we're going to have to ask someone to bring us some gas. Oh yeah, we're definitely, because we're at 103 already. Wow. Getting concerned. I think we're not going to make it. If someone cuts in front of us, we're definitely... Why is he like that? Like, why is that bus moving? I see, because he probably needed to for making that. Alright, that'll get us moving that way. We're at 88. The question is now, how quickly will Edmonton come up on the map? My guess is, sadly, not fast enough, because I think not only do we go down, we also head further east to get there, so I might be wrong. It might come straight down to Edmonton and then head over, but like once we get up to speed, that'll be good, because we can go about at least another 10 miles an hour here. Yep, we know we're running out of fuel. 75 miles is where we're at, just for a matter of perspective. Well, it does cut over there, but what I'd like to see is letters for the name of a town, and I'm not seeing that. Just amazing how far these things are apart. I don't know how difficult it is to place fuel stations, but I would make a plea to the folks. If you do that, go ahead and do that appropriately. Like, get them closer together. Yeah, there's no way we're going to make it. We're not seeing the town yet. We're down to 50 miles. So we might not even get to the turn to head east with that, which means we might be refilling multiple times, which will just chew up not only money, but time. So very, very disheartening that that has not worked out in our favor, but helps us gauge distance on the map, I suppose. Yeah, we're not at the sharp turn yet. I think that's down there. So just need to be careful here. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, it actually wasn't that bad to go around. Well, we're still not seeing Edmonton. This is way further than I thought. So another misconstrued piece. So that I've definitely kind of in my head got, I don't think I'm going to include Canada, the Canada Dream map, in anything else I do. I mean, it was interesting for this, but especially if I'm doing the real economy where I know I'm going to be going much slower as far as progress. I don't want to be doing this in any way, shape, or form. So I might include Mexico and the Caribbean, because those aren't too bad. There's definitely things you get much faster there. But I think I'll leave off Canada to just make things a little simpler. And there we go. I knew it was coming. I wasn't really watching. Alright, so emergency refueling. It's going to get us 15 gallons, which I think just gives us 75 miles. 71, so even better.
Go straight on.
But at this point, obviously, we're doing what we can. And it's just that, the bigger problem, as I said, is it chews up 30 minutes. So I'm not quite sure what 71 miles is going to get us, if it'll even get us to what we see on the map now. Because we're already down to 66. And obviously we've barely moved because we're only going 50 miles an hour. Certainly a challenge. So it had to have been 400 or 500 miles, so wow. I would have never thought that they would make it that far apart. I mean, I suppose if we had a truck that, had a 300-gallon fuel tank, we'd be able to handle that, but we can't control as contractors what they give us. Yeah, it's not looking good. We're down to below 50 miles. I mean, I think this is going to be 2 or 3 fill-ups. Then we're going to be in danger of being late, too, on not for the delivery, but for our rest period. Because, yeah, we're not doing very well, and we're clearly not moving very far on that map, so 35 miles. I'd be surprised if we even get to where that Route 43 is on the mini-map. I think that would be a far, far cry. Down to 20 miles. That's an interesting. I see it's got like a crane to move that. What looks like a giant tank of some sort. But yeah, this is not what I anticipated. It's just going to Dawson Creek and getting that gas is so inconvenient the way that they have that designed. 8 miles. So yeah, we're not gonna be even close. I don't want to slow down and make even less progress, but it's coming right now. And so we've got to basically get down to where it stops before it lets us do it. Yes, we agree. Fuel us up again. 4 hours and 15 minutes. Oh, this just seems like a dumber and dumber idea as I go along here. The thing I really don't understand is it almost seems like we've ceased making progress on the mini-map. Oh, Edmonton is right there. Okay, now I feel a little bit better. Although I think at this point then maybe I'll go right there. Oh, I was worried because my cursor had frozen. I'm like, is it going to crash? Yeah, because I've got no other place to rest, and I obviously am not going to play that game, so at this point we'll pull off here, we'll get gas, and then likely head back, because otherwise I don't know that we can get back on, so. But hopefully, at this point, we have 62 miles. Whoops, sorry for the rumble strips. And yeah, at least we can see the town. I think that should get us close enough. So it's a little earlier than I would really like to stop, but we only have 4 hours, and we're not going to make that. We're then going to be risking that, so that makes no sense. So we'll get gas here. So,
Go straight on.
I am.
Finding a new route.
Yeah, it's interesting because it didn't actually tell me to turn.
Keep left, and then turn left.
But yeah, it's this Volvo dealer that we discovered last time, and that's where we rested. So I'm going to go get the gas first, just to have that done. It's right here.
Turn right, and then continue straight.
And this is exactly the same thing we did. We pulled in, we then circled,
And then turn right.
and had that going. So we have 2,005 miles, so will get us a little ways, but
And then turn left.
so let me just take a quick look. But I think thing is, if I can get to Lloydminster, I don't know that it makes sense, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get that far in 4 hours. That just, yeah, pushing it, because obviously we went from Dawson Creek, that was 300, 400 miles. In 4 hours, we're going to get maybe 280. So yeah, we just need to rest here. I know I'm trying to make progress as quick as I can, but I'm just basically keep shooting myself in the foot with what I'm doing. So pulling the Volvo dealer. I mean, it's not terribly early. I mean, it's already after 8 p.m. But yeah, we're down to 3.5 hours now. So,
Turn right. Okay.
but this is a smaller trailer than we had, because before we had the tractor behind us when I pulled into something like this, so it was more of an articulated trailer. But I do remember we had to circle around a bit to find where it gave us the trigger point. It was really disappointing. There we go. Alright, time to get on the road again. Just make sure we swing over enough here so that we have a shot at getting this trailer straightened out before we go through the gate. That was still closer than I would have liked, which is really scary, but
Turn right.
I will turn right. Alright, and then we're going to head up, and then immediately get on at that interchange and continue on. But yeah, we're at about 1,200 miles now from the start of this jaunt.
Keep right. And then
So, yeah, a lot of miles.
turn right.
But again, normally we'd be heading down south into the US, but we've come this way before for something. But the big benefit we have here is we've got 500 miles till we're empty. So get a little bit of speed hopefully, because we've got the downhill, so that should get us moving. Because we've got that big uphill there, which does slow us down, I do remember that. But yeah, now, well, actually we're doing slow mileage here in Edmonton. So I'm sure it'll change shortly. There we go. Now we're at exactly 2,000 miles to go, according to Sim Dashboard. So Pepsi truck, everybody's kind of still got their lights on in the buildings because it's just sunrise.
Go straight on.
But this will at least, if I may keep the mini map in that format a little bit for a while, because it at least gives us a little bit more of a sense of progress. But yeah, that would have been the gas station there. We would have had to have exited to get gas there. But I think we've got, I don't know if it's another interchange toward the far east side there, the right side of the mini-map. Not sure. But obviously, well, it'll be clearer once we get there, and then maybe we'll do a quick pop into the map to just see where it wants to send us. It might stop us here at the way station. That'll be just our luck after we've just finally started moving, of course. So there you go. So unfortunate, but not unexpected. Because yeah, we're also just finally starting to get mileage, because it finally gave us like 25 miles from the 2000 to get to this point, even though we're that far out of Edmonton. So we should have, I'm sure we're pretty close to max 80,000 weight with this, but yep, 72,000. See, I'm not sure if I had gone, this probably had to have been when I'd gone to Florida. Just amazing to me. I had this problem before, I think, where I was coming out of this and there were just so many vehicles that the other truck had to stop. But it was a little cleaner to get in the left lane and try to get past him. Oh, actually, I didn't need to do that. I just needed to do the F5, and this is normally the view we have, which obviously just gives us a couple miles, because the next one, well, that one's a little better, but yeah, we'll see. Normally, this is what I keep, because it's just easier to see all the details, but when we've got so many thousands of miles to go, at this point I'm just trying to find something to look at and talk to you about, so that it's not just a lot of dead air and truck noise, which probably okay, but I mean, I think at long runs like this, I don't know that there's much of a choice. And for those who just enjoy watching it and want the full run, which I've heard from folks that they would like that, which again is why I keep delivering that in my truck sim videos, or pretty much most of them, other than farm sim, where we're talking, you know, double-digit hours, which is a little bit much. Right, so that, yeah, it looks like that's just an intersection we go through. It just was on the map showing that way, because obviously that is the interchange we have, but it doesn't go anywhere, so. Unless I was making a U-turn, that's really its only purpose for existence here on this map, other than perhaps future designs, but don't know when or if that might ever happen for these maps, so. So yeah, at this point. Alright, so moving along. We're definitely clipping along at a high pace here, which is great. I just do need to be careful because I'm kind of pushing it a bit. But I'm assuming, again, we'll have to stop and all kinds of things will be asked of us. But we're just, you know, 10, 11 miles over, so we're not like super fast. Let's see. So let me try that view on the mini-map, because I think that should give me visibility to things a little further out, obviously. It just might not be as far out as we'd like, so this was just an overall gas station. We're only 100 miles out. I would think I wouldn't need to stop and get gas yet. But, you know, because I've gotten burned, I'm going to stop and I'm going to fill up, which I understand kills our momentum, but it's the only way at least I can feel like if I somehow get stuck, at least it's not my fault there. I mean, I definitely don't need to rest. I mean, it's not even been 2 hours yet. And this should be super fast given how little we have, so there we go. It's not quite a NASCAR pit stop, especially with the speed that we're leaving the pits, but you get my idea. But, you know, it's certainly something that's a little bit more manageable, and it looks like, because we're not moving along too quickly, it at least kept the time low. Alright. So now we'll get back up to speed, but now at least we have 500 instead of like 390 that we had, so we've got like another 110 miles, which might have been enough to get us to Edmonton from before, so. But now we know we don't need to go here because this was not a dealership for trucks, so we'll just keep going past Lloydminster, I think is what it's called. So, a little bit of a shame that we won't have it discovered, but we did get Fort Nelson, so, and we'll probably get something else in the future, because if nothing else, we'll have to get gas, but if I have gas available to me where I can just pull off like that, that's way better than going into town, making that right-hand turn, making the left-hand turn, filling up, and coming back even that little bit. Alright, so Saskatchewan. And then, as I said, I think it's Manitoba. And then I don't know if we're already into like Quebec or not, or something else. I don't know that I know all the provinces. I don't know that I even know how many provinces there are. I mean, I know we've got Nova Scotia, Quebec. I guess there's Newfoundland somewhere, but I think that's way over on the coast as well with Nova Scotia. So I think it would be like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Ontario, Quebec. It's just, does Quebec come up on Manitoba, or is there some other province in between that I'm forgetting? Because I think that would mean we've got 7 provinces, but it doesn't seem like enough. I don't know. We will find out shortly. So we might have to take a look at the map. We'll see what this interchange looks like, because I don't know if that's just a pass-through interchange or what. Yeah, well, sort of. It goes down, but we're continuing on, which is what we'd done before, obviously, because that's how it was discovered.
Go straight on.
Again, I'm not quite sure why that car felt the need to move over to the left lane when 2 lanes are continuing on here, but it did, and so it's that kind of stuff that just creates this foolishness. So, yeah, but my hope is we get to level 28. But if I get deep enough into level 28, there's a possibility, however slim it may be, that I can get to level 30 with 1 more load, if I can get something up in the 9,000-10,000 range. Just I've been sadly short of those type of runs for points, and the problem is if I do, it's probably going to require another Mexico run, which is going to take a huge amount of time, but I don't know. Not sure what the best way is. Oh boy.
Go straight on.
I so do not enjoy these vehicles. Why are they in the left lane? But yes, I do remember here in Saskatchewan that we do get more of the roadside gas stations. So I think, I don't know, it seems a little foolish to pull over again. I mean, I have gone 100 miles, but if I pull over again, I just like kill my momentum. So I'm gonna keep going. If nothing else, maybe there'll be another one in 100 miles. That'll have me down to like 300 to empty, and that will make more sense at that point because will have used nearly half the tank. But we will keep heading over, and at some point we're going to be going east into Canada on roads we haven't been on before. So nothing much to say. I guess certainly much to do, although this is even that's questionable. We've suddenly gotten very straight roads here, so we don't have the same winding roads we had in British Columbia and Alberta, which I'm sure we're supposed to mimic the fact that we were going between mountains or something, because those would be more mountainous provinces, being over by the Rocky Mountains that, you know, obviously come up from the US as well. But I don't remember if the road here, like when we come from this direction, if it comes down, I think it comes down in the Dakotas. I don't think it actually goes all the way over to Minnesota. But still, you know, if we're at the Dakota level, we're still about halfway across the country, which would be about right, because we're about halfway across here now. But I think with Whitehorse we start further west than the coast, so that's part of the thing that I think creates that illusion, like I've gone so far, but I think that part of North America and Canada sticks out further to the west than, say, Washington State and Oregon and those. But we're down below 2,000 miles, as you know, because I told you we were at 2,000 before. So seems like we're making some slower progress. I'm slowing down here. This is way too sharp of a turn, and again, I don't want to lose my run, because remember, this is fragile cargo. So if I do any kind of a collision with something. Okay, so I think we have to exit here. I guess I'll make sure. Yes, because we're... Okay, so does Saskatoon have a truck? No. Nothing that is showing up as a question mark. So we'll move on over.
Turn left.
And then we go to the next intersection. And then turn to the right. He's got some flammable gas. So we got 2 hazmat vehicles.
Get ready to turn right.
And then, yeah, we'll turn right here.
Turn right.
And that will start to take us down. Okay, heading out. Down onto the highway. And then I believe, yeah, we exit here and turn left. So this is where we go into unexplored territory.
Turn left.
Alright, nobody's coming. So we're gonna keep our momentum moving. And And now we are heading down 16 east. That's what I believe that sign said. A little under 1,700 miles to go, so still more than half of our trip remains, which is a scary, scary thing when you think about it, because we have not been going for a short period of time, and we've also not been going super slow, so it's a bit much. But clearly, at least so far, nothing is changing as far as the scenery. Once again, I wasn't really expecting a change, but I was hopeful for a change. I mean, the tree types may have changed, but it's still a wide meadow, I guess, with trees to give it at least some edge versus just no trees, and then you would probably more easily see the end of the world that way. Not quite the end of the world like what we saw in the last episode that I showed you, but you know, we've solved that problem to the best of our knowledge. And obviously, if I have other places where the GPS says it won't take me, I do need to be careful, because it likely is some sort of a break like that, because that was the challenge. Even zooming in at the biggest zoom on the map, it did look like it connected, which is why I was like, well, should be able to go here, but if I'm near some points, I may find another break. So the question is, maybe the Toronto, Ontario map has the same issue, which is why if I went from Nova Scotia over to Calgary, I think is what it was, it took me down into the US, because there may be a similar type of gap in that location as well. Or it just honestly was faster and or shorter by a little bit, because clearly it's not as if at 3,200 miles, because it was 3,300 miles, so it's not as if, you know, this given that it was 3,200, now that's 3,200 all the way to Whitehorse, and we were just going to Calgary, but keep in mind, we would have gone up to Edmonton and then come down, and that's probably at least 100 miles. So it may have just been enough to be different. It's just what I was looking for at that point is, if I was going to go across Canada, I wanted to go on roads up here so that they could at least be discovered and added to my percentage there. So looks like another little juke over.
Get ready to turn right.
So I'm sure there's, you know, a town or something nearby or here, or because the question is, like, I guess this isn't,
Turn right.
I mean, it is 16 still, but oh boy, I just saw him coming. I didn't want to get hit. Again, I'm fragile. Luckily I didn't get stuck off the side of the road enough that I hit a berm there. But I should have looked before I turned, so shame on me. I was just assuming, because the other cars were going, that it just didn't have traffic, but that was foolish. So, but the hope here is that I can make some great progress, maybe even, I don't know, get some bonus points that I didn't think, because again, the thing we've got to remember is the hazmat does give us some experience as well, and I think it's just a set amount, but I'm not including that in my calculation for the runs I'm doing. So, there may be, I think it was several hundred bonus points when I did that last load as well that was a hazmat load, so. The thing I don't know is it dependent on what the level of hazmat is, although I think I have that maxed out. Well, I would have to, because it really is just the symbols. So I know I had done that, but I'm getting really close, because the other benefit, I think, at 30 is also then I'll have enough skill points to basically have maxed out every skill other than fuel economy, which tends to be less important, but yeah, I'm gonna stop here and get gas. We still have 7 hours to rest, so this is just a gas-only stop. But yeah, we're down to 183 miles, so definitely not worth pushing, because if you recall, again, we were at like 400 miles last time we saw fuel, although that again may not be entirely true, because I think just seeing the towns and the other things, I had kind of kept going. Alright, so this should, yeah, get me far enough over. Just need to, again, make sure nobody's coming the other side, so I can swing a little wider, which would be the best way to get on the road here. And we're on our way again. Not bad. 5-10 minutes. Back up to 500 plus miles, although now we're down to, well, I guess 501, so we're still okay, but that's just because we're going slow. Once we start moving, it'll start chewing up those miles faster than we know it. Oh, looks like we've got road construction. Again, this may be just a permanent little mod on the map to give us something to stop for. Nobody's on the other end. It would be good if it just turned green. And now we've got a truck coming. Question is it going to make it stop, or it looks like it is. So I assume that means we'll be turning green shortly. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just all sit here in both directions. Obviously it needs to let things clear, so I understand how these work, because they obviously are assuming people are going by at a kind of a slow pace, even though the speed limit's not lowered here, but normally you would be doing that at a slower pace, and then, especially because of that merge, as you saw, and then you'd be going from there, so. We'll try to speed up again. So yeah, I mean, it definitely makes me feel a little better that we stopped and got gas, because otherwise it would have been like, ooh, we don't want to lose our momentum, and then literally 10 miles later we're stopped at construction and starting from a dead stop anyway. And then we would have only had 184 miles, so if I want to see if I would have been in trouble, basically, let's say 320. So if before the next gas station we're below 320 to empty, we would have been in trouble. But that's a ways away, so we won't know that, and we may not even remember it when we get there. Heck, I'm in the middle. I've rewatched little segments of certain videos where I'm starting to tell you something, then, like dug in up, I just see something like squirrel. And then I start talking about that, and then I never go back and finish the thought I was having. So, But this is truly like trying to remember something in two distinct things where I'm not supposed to be continually talking about it, so who knows, maybe my brain will function appropriately there. So if I recall on the overall world map, this drops us down very close to the border, then we kind of proceed east along the border, and then we go back up. Is kind of how this route goes. But we'll see as we get near any other town, we'll pop into the map, see if there's anything that looks like a dealership that we can discover. But other than that, the goal is just keep cooking along and get there as quick as we can, because it is, after all, an urgent delivery as well as a fragile one. So yeah, the problem is the one to get, kind of like the Holy Grail that we had before, although that wasn't a boat, which was great. Because at other times, that's what I always had, was just boats, and literally hauling the same load is not honestly any more fun than hauling. Okay, so these are just roads coming in. I just wanted to verify it wasn't like Dawson Creek where this was there because there's a town and then we go by a town and miss things. Oh boy. Alright. Well, he's not going to the left, so I'm going to do this, which probably is not going to work out in my favor, but I'm hopeful. Maybe he'll go to the right. No, he's continuing on, but... Oh, there's a guy, but now this is different, because the guy with the tank had like an arm behind him to unload the tank, where this one has just another tank behind him, a small, almost like a home propane tank or something that we would use in the States. But who knows what they're used for. I know, in the oil and gas industry they're called vessels in most cases. And they're helping with extraction, not necessarily those small ones, but that could be what that is, who knows? Just depends how they model those loads. But didn't see anything where we're straightening out yet on the larger map when I had gone in to look at that, so I'm thinking we continue southeast for a ways. We might be at 1.5 million at the top of the screen by the time we're running our next load, because I think it was 150, 160, and depending what position we're at in the 1.3 million, we might clear that rounding point. But I'm thinking we're still going to be 1.4 million, but it might start showing 1.5 because we're close. But maybe it always stays under, so that you don't suddenly go in and think, oh, I have 1.5 million to spend, and you have like 1.47, and then you're like, ah, oh, I'm short 20,000. I thought you told me I had 1.5. Alright, now that does look like a town. So let me get around this. Alright, so it is Manitoba. Bienvenue. Oh, I didn't know that Manitoba was also a French-speaking province. Okay, no question marks here either. So that's Russell with one L. And then again, doesn't look like we have any town. That one doesn't have, so yeah, there may just not be truck dealerships in Canada, which is sad. But I guess we'll just have to think next time that we'll get lucky. Whoa, I am hitting the brake, I promise. It just, obviously we were moving along at 80 miles an hour, so it takes a bit. Not only hitting the brake, I was like pressing as hard as I could. I'm like is it slowing down? But I looked up briefly at the miles per hour and saw it was. It just, I gotta be careful, do it earlier next time, because that was close.
Turn left.
So we saw Verdun was down below. That's the other town I looked at, but we're not actually going there, so. There's a truck coming, but at least we didn't have to worry about him being there. But yeah, now we're getting close to the point where we saw on the map where we are going then across. So now we're at that segment where we hit the southern edge of our route and then head due east for a while. And I'm sure a while is going to be many hundreds of miles, the way this all works. But now the question is, after Manitoba, is it Quebec? Is it Ontario? Is it something, again, I've totally forgotten about? It's probably more likely that that's what it is, but I am not sure. So 5 p.m., we're down to 4 hours, almost exactly, till we need to rest. So we can go till about 9 p.m., so we'll keep that in mind. I guess we've hit a gas station. We would have gone up to Russell, and we're at about 340, so maybe we would have been okay, but it would have been really, really close. I certainly would have been getting extremely nervous with what was happening. But yeah, next time we see gas, unless it's like in the next 30 miles, we'll pull over. Because if we see it that quickly, then again, it's a good sign that even in Manitoba, they've got more understanding of how quickly a truck burns through fuel than the designers of British Columbia and Alberta did. Because it was close enough in some cases that I think just the size of the tank this gave me put me at risk of not making it. So I think they've made an assumption of much bigger fuel tanks, where once again, when I'm an owner-operator, that may be true, because I'll make sure I'm buying something large so that I can go anywhere and just go. But when you're starting out, or when you're running contracts and they're giving you vehicles and you can't control that, that seems to be kind of the part that they forgot about. Alright, so I think, again, in this case it's another little juke, but we go to the left instead. Can't quite see the southern bottom of that to verify officially, but that's really what it looks like. So, alright, so there is gas and a rest stop. It's definitely too early to rest, but there's definitely a concern on my end of, are we going to hit a rest stop within the time? Because I will once again pull over and get gas, because we are at half. So that's obviously proved a danger before. So we'll do that, but we will continue with the hope that we can find another rest stop before that. Because it's far too early. Let's see, what have we got? Alright, Winnipeg. There's gotta be a... There isn't. Wow. It's like there's gotta be a truck dealer in Winnipeg. There's a garage, but no truck dealer. Are we actually crossing the border, or is that... No. Well, we technically are. So we're going to have a U.S. border crossing anyway. But yeah, we should be able to get to Winnipeg in 3 hours, so we'll do that. Well, now we'll go ahead. It's early, but... because otherwise I have to get off just again to go stop, and right now I've still got like 60 hours of gap, so even if I like sleep extra, the only difference is, again, we're going to be traversing in the dark. But we'll rest here because these are a lot more convenient than what we've been doing, so. Plus there seems to be a lot more open space here, so I'm going to be hopeful that I can goodness. This just really is badly designed. I don't know how. I mean, I can't be nice about it. It's just badly designed. Because there's no way, again, to turn. And maybe their argument is, well, I should pull into the space. And I would do that if I knew which space would actually allow me to rest. The problem is they all don't. And then I have this problem of now I'm back in a space and I'm wasting time backing out of the space. So, anyway. But at this point, we shouldn't have to stop at Winnipeg, or if we do, it's because the gas is low. And then I guess it would have made sense to wait. I don't know. I don't like this truck with this small tank. It just definitely creates more drama than is necessary, by far. Alright, well, we'll be in the dark for a while, which will make the view even more dull, although I guess you can kind of see the same thing. It's just shadows of the trees, but clearly we'll head along. We'll see what it looks like when we get to Winnipeg. If we're below 10 hours, we know we wouldn't have made it. To rest, is what I mean, but so at this point it's still telling me 28 hours, 9 minutes to drive to get there, so in theory that's 3 days, which would get me onto the Saturday that I'm due to be there, which makes sense, because usually with the urgent deliveries you do tend to be a little bit challenged, which is why if the times are really off, like let's say I picked this thing up at 9 p.m. when I started my run, like sleeping immediately could be enough to throw you off to try to stay on daytime. But yeah, we probably have an hour or two before the sun's really coming out enough that we'll notice, that it won't feel like we're at nighttime anymore, so we'll obviously probably have morning twilight relatively soon, but we could also have just the time zone change might move it along a bit, so I don't know if we've crossed it already or not. But it's still telling me nearly an hour and a half in real time, so it just seems like it's taking longer than it estimated in the beginning, but maybe not. Because I thought it was 3 hours, but maybe it was like 3.5 hours or something. Don't recall. All I know of from CVS is the drug chain, CVS Pharmacy, so CVS Tours just seems like you're visiting biological facilities, which is probably not what it is, but who knows? Funnier things have happened. Oh boy, really? We just cannot win for losing with these things. At least I was able to stop. Again, I was riding the brake pretty hard. Alright, at least it wasn't a super long red, but oh, I hate when they do that. There's no red. It says stop here on red. Not stop here just because. I guess this isn't any longer. It just was a bit deceiving, tucked in there and at night. So ridiculous with this AI for the vehicles. Okay, I completely lost momentum again because to not run into him. Because he doesn't know how to switch lanes and then take off. But anyway. And now, yeah, he's almost not visible to me because he took off so fast, but he couldn't do it when I needed him to, when I was right behind him and in danger of rear-ending him. So, not fun. Not fun at all. So, a lot of wiggling here, according to our view. And I think this one, yeah, we go around, yep, straight to Winnipeg. So, once again, we've just gotten up to speed, and now we get to slow down again. I'll try to, at this point, keep moving until it gets a little risky to turn, but I'm not sure that will happen. It won't. Oh! Oh boy. I didn't realize he was trying to get by me. Alright, no damage to the load. That's the most important thing, because it was just kind of a grazing hit, but obviously I wasn't going around the turn fast enough, so he decided to try to sneak by me. I didn't realize it was a 2-lane ramp. And now he's going to hit his brakes, right? Of course, because that's what they always do. And I think, again, it was a white car. I don't know that it was that same white car, but either way, it's always fun. Oh, and ooh, we get to bypass. I was going to say, now it's going to have us stop at the way station. We're just going to keep starting and stopping, but good news is we're able to continue. Sorry, I'm drifting over there. Was looking at my sim dashboard, obviously a bit too much, because I thought I was on the right track, and then suddenly I had drifted over. So I'm going to move over, because now we are going to pass him, and hopefully never see him again. So I'd like to get far enough ahead that I don't have to worry about him, but I'm not sure that we're going to get that opportunity, but we'll find out. So I didn't see any other sign that we've entered any other province yet, so I'm going to assume we're still in Manitoba. But I would absolutely love get there. Okay, so this is Winnipeg. So what was I saying? 4 hours?
Go straight on.
Yeah, we would have made it sleepy time wise. And it's about 120 in gas, so I think we would have been okay there too. But please all stay in the right lane. Ooh, that one behind him. I don't like that, but hopefully he sees me moving along and will leave it. We did discover Winnipeg, so that's good. That's a big, I think it's the provincial capital. But that will then give us more origination points, which may or may not prove useful. We'll see. I mean, it could, especially like heading over to California or something. Alright, let me move over to the right. Looks like we're still gonna head down south here. Oh, I thought I was seeing a sign, but it's just a bus. Alright, and then I'm assuming that's just a interchange that doesn't go anywhere. Oh, no, I guess I'm wrong. Yeah, we don't continue. And I wonder if that's again because, let me see here. No dealership. Yeah, this is probably just faster because that looks like a slower road in general. Alright. So, it was just like if we had the opportunity to discover a dealership, I might have decided to go that route, but we'll try this, although I'm wondering if we're going to be dealing with a border crossing, which would then seem to negate anything here, but obviously 17 still comes down and merges with it, so the question is, does this truly become just a two-lane road again like it appears? I'm pretty sure it does, which is again unfortunate, but that doesn't mean the other one wouldn't do the same thing. Alright, we just need to keep an eye out because with these bushes it's a little harder to see past things. So a little bit of a difference in scenery in that we have some shoulder bushes. Yeah, the bushes are deceiving because I'm like, is there a vehicle? That's a vehicle in our lane, so everybody right now is going in our direction, which is great. So I will be happily taking that because it once again means I can pass the slower traffic that isn't moving along at my pace and then get those benefits. Just do need to be careful that this isn't a police officer because I am speeding. I'm being a little bit of a non-compliant trucker. Alright. So I don't know how far it was until we hit the border. I think it was a little bit of a ways, so it's probably too much to hope that we've already done it. But yeah, it's still saying I'm heading southeast, which I guess on the mini-map even looks that way, so that's not surprising. When we turn here, it might eventually tick over to just be going east for a moment. Yeah, the thing I'm unclear, and yes, now it says I'm going east. The piece I'm unclear about is my real time hasn't actually dropped in about 15 minutes, so I don't know if we've suddenly just started progressing that slowly in mileage, because it does appear that it's not moving much, but again, that would be unfortunate, but yeah, that looks like a border crossing with a rest station, so I don't need rest. We are below 300 in fuel already. So hopefully the border crossing isn't too complex, because that's also obviously part of the challenge with these, is sometimes you've got like multiple way stations, you don't have a way to go through without a gate, but yeah, it looks like we've got several e-toll options here. It's going to be the $25 we always see. It is. And there we go. Welcome to America. And then we'll very quick... Oh my goodness. Oh, that was terrible. If he had hit me... I was just driving straight. That was just terrible. There's no ifs, ands, or buts with that. Alright, I can't imagine that's already the Canadian border. I think it's just a location. I don't need to rest, but I am approaching 250 miles an hour, or 250 to empty, so I'm gonna do my top off, because that's the way we have to roll with this load. I was gonna say, where is it? I was expecting at least a couple, but I guess we just have one. Alright, again, shouldn't be too terribly long, and then we'll turn left when we head off, so that that trailer doesn't get caught. And we'll keep our turn signal on. Look out there, nobody's coming. So I shouldn't have any opportunity to run into anybody, but we'll see how lucky we all get. So yeah, I think this is a piece of Minnesota that we're traveling through. But the good news is, at least here, the speed limit is higher, but I think this is very short-lived, and then we'll be diving back into Canada again. And there it is. There's the border crossing. So, very, very short. So all we did was provide some cash to American pockets by dropping down here and taking fuel. So, help their gas tax. So forth, but we'll get to slow down again. Because of course, why wouldn't we? It looks like we might have some speed bumps that, yep, that are not insubstantial. So again, we don't want our nitrocellulose to do anything crazy. I'm going to try to keep an eye out to the right for yahoos that dive in. I think I'm clear on the left. Alright, welcome to Canada, but it's not giving me the province, so I think I'm still in Manitoba, but I don't know with certainty. Looks like we shrink back down to a single lane, not too far up again. So I think basically once everybody can jockey for position out of the toll is how this is designed. It looks like whoever was in the right lane, oh, maybe he just ducked in front of the truck. I was going to say it looked like he just vanished, like he got far enough away that it wasn't rendering it anymore, but that's not accurate, I guess. But the good news is we are in Canada and we're still able to go. Oh, now it's, of course, as soon as I say that. So it must have been because it was double lanes. Alright, well that clearly is a road. So I'm not going to stop and look for anything there. But yeah, it does appear that it's like substantially slower in progress here. I'm not sure why. Fort Francis. Alright, that is a town. But I think we looked at this one. Maybe not. Is it Fort? Fort what? Not like that's going to tell me anything, but I can actually see that the service bay is just that. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to discover Fort Francis for us or not. I'm assuming not. But yes, no question marks. And then we have a long way. Thunder Bay, also nothing. Thunder Bay will be one we pull over to, though, so.
Go straight on.
That was a little closer than I would have liked, and luckily he wasn't moving over to the left. But yes, no discovery of Fort Francis. Oh well. But we will get Thunder Bay because we're absolutely going to need gas by then at a minimum. We're down to less than 9 hours for rest too, but I can't imagine it's going to take us that long to get there. But I might surprise myself. So, but we're down to a little over 21 hours till we deliver. So right now, 14 and the 8 we have left would barely get us there, so I don't know that we're going to be able to do it without 2 rests. We're very, very close. And some of it, frankly, has to do with how everything pieces together here. Alright, again, looks like a very sharp curve. So we'll slow down enough to make it, and then we'll continue. So yeah, I'm not sure if nitrocellulose is like nitroglycerin, just a different explosive compound, but that they're both explosive, I don't know. Suppose that's a good thing that I don't have that knowledge, but obviously, you know, I could work in like Chevron that makes stuff like that and still know. And certainly I've worked in manufacturing plants where we've used dangerous chemicals and understand MSDS sheets, which are well, that's almost like saying PIN number, but MSDS is Material Safety Data Sheet, so sheet's already in it. So but that helps you understand like what the dangers of the chemical you're working with are, safety measures, so if somebody gets exposed to it accidentally, what you would do. You know, is it an eye wash, or is it, you know, do you leave it? Because some things, if you try to rinse it with water, like it makes it worse. Because basically it has a reaction with the water, and then you do more damage. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm pressing my advantage a bit, and I'm gonna end up making a bad mistake at some point if I'm not careful. So I need to... It's been relatively uneventful, so I'm kind of like, we'll go. But yeah, that car was hard to see, and then I was running the risk of hitting something off the edge of the road and suddenly coming to an abrupt stop, which would likely again damage my cargo. So but the hope is he's just past him, so when I get to this truck, hopefully I can just pass him as well, because yeah, I'm not passing in no passing zones for the most part. It's just I didn't see clearly on that one. Alright, we are below 1,000 miles finally, so a good thing. Um, 334 miles to empty. Now again, I think, yeah, we just said we were going to try to get to Thunder Bay, so we will do that. I think we should be okay. Hoping I'm not going to be proven wrong again, but that's relatively straight on and relatively quick, so. You know, plus that gives us a discovery of a town where this is obviously just a fuel and a rest stop, which doesn't unlock anything of use for us in the game. I don't know, I somehow feel like there was some provincial change when we were in Minnesota for a second, because, I don't know, it's possible Manitoba is this wide, but it seems like we have been driving for a long, long time without changing provinces, so. But yeah, I think Maniwaki was in Quebec, is what I think it said. I think he's on our side, so we should be able to pass. But yeah, this is getting kind of like British Columbia was, where the road is not straight. There's some wind to it, and that obviously makes it more of a challenge to see a good distance to be able to know for sure that we're safe, which I'm sure is part of the intentional challenge of why they did this, but alright, so some trucks going our way, a car behind that truck, so yeah, we're definitely getting to some heavier traffic again, like where we nearly got in trouble last time. A vehicle going the other way, which usually gives us a little bit of breathing space, which is all we need to get by this car, because it's just a car. But this is a truck, a car, and a truck, so there is a lot happening here. Oh, and an intersection. Well, we'll get by him. I can see I'm clear there with the problem, but I can see there's a car coming, so I'm going to fold up. And then the challenge becomes, if one of these guys decide to turn to the left, I could again be in a bad spot. Alright, that... oh boy.
Go straight on.
Yeah. This is not working out well. That was really crazy, and I knew better. Like I said, I do this at the end of every long run. I'm just so wanting to finish that I just start getting really reckless. Which is why normally, for certain things, I won't do runs this long. Because they're too long, frankly. But when we're trying to progress, it's the fastest way to do it. So I know I'm just making excuses for myself. But, alright. So, oh, this is Thunder Bay. So we do want to exit here. Oh, but we don't want to rest. But we do want to get gas. So we'll do that. But we still have 6 hours, so there's, yeah, really no reason to rest at this point. It's too soon. Because at this point, we have 17 and a half hours, and that's going to be more... more than we can do in one run, so we don't want to be doing that. I'd like to get below 14 hours where I then have a chance of delivering. That is a weird car, that one that just pulled up. I don't know what that is. Alright, well, we have discovered Thunder Bay almost immediately.
Turn left.
Alright, and is this one of the corner gases? Yes, it is. So I will just do this and then turn. I just need to be able to see what I'm doing here. So we're going to be slow. So we want to make sure we're clear in the back if we can be. I think we are. Alright, I was worried I wasn't close enough to the pump because it wasn't coming up, but we were down to about 230 to empty, so definitely a good ways lower than half. But yeah, you can see it's a truck care center is what we have there. Oh boy, did he just, oh, I guess he went by me. I forgot I have a really small nose on this thing. I don't have any things sticking out. What did I, oh, where did he come from? There was nobody there. Alright, well, still no damage to the cargo. Oh boy. We're gonna hit him too. Let me look before I get... Alright. So yeah, this is the danger. Oh, he backed up. That's nice. I didn't know they would do that. Well, that's a good thing to know.
Get ready to turn right.
Alright. I want to try to obviously make the light here. And then we're going around the clover leaf, if I recall. Yep. We can see the little swirl there. So I'm going to go here. We've got a lot of like stuff washed out from the sun in the actual mirror. But yeah, there's just too many trucks and buses and whatever in that lane. I don't think I'm going to make the light if I stay there. So I'm going to head over here, and then I know we'll have to get over, and that will create its own set of challenges. I'll do this. And then I'm sure the people behind are like cursing me. But hopefully some vehicles are turning right. It looks like that bus is. And so then I might be able to get in there. There we go. I gave him a little bit of encouragement by getting close to him. That's one of the strategies when you're driving, because yes, he's now trying to go around me, which he probably can because he's a box truck. But this is where we need to go. Well, we go straight, because yeah, the other way takes us across the US border, which we're not looking to do. This is where I got in trouble before, because then there's other vehicles coming up that we can't successfully turn with, so just need to be careful. Hopefully nobody dives over in front of me, but I do need them to merge, because otherwise we're going to get stopped anyway if there's suddenly a lot of traffic. Okay, I thought there was a car next to me somewhere.
Exit left.
Alright, I hope he's really not there, and I hope it's just that yellow one. Alright, we still have 800 miles. This is a haul. But yeah, this is the part now where we head up and go north. So we're by, I think that's Lake Huron. Oh wow, we're still just there. So we're just above Minnesota. We have a ways to go. Alright, let's just check these places out. I see no question marks. So that'll just give us the... Yeah, there really are not any dealerships. I wonder why they didn't do that. But let me look here too. Yeah, so we're somewhere. There's something other than Manitoba here. I don't know what we're in. Oh well. But yeah, it was exactly what I said. See, this is the provincial line here. And so we entered in another province than when we left Canada. But so something is there. I don't know what it is. I think when we're on the actual map, not on the route map like that, I think it shows the names on the satellite background. So we've got a long way to go still. So I think this is still going to turn out to be an exceptionally long episode. So again, for those who like it, you should be happy. Oh, we've got to pull over. Because again, why, when we're just getting up to speed, would we be allowed to stay there? But it's been a long time since I pulled into a way station, so I can only half-heartedly grumble. Alright, good news is at least that truck ahead of us didn't go in, so this will be as quick of a way as we can have, because we just pull in and weigh and go. Way we go. Ha ha ha. Alright, so we have a lot occurring. Is he gonna wait for me? Probably not. Nope. Because he's a mean truck. I had my signal on, trying to let him know, but he decided he didn't care. Because yeah, this really, when we were like an hour and a half at one point, this should be when we were ending. And it's telling me I nearly have an hour left, so it's like the estimate is really, really bad. And some of it might be because just the time we're having to pull off, get gas, because yeah, it's not great. I mean, depending on how everything flows, it's possible we can do it with one more fill up, but again, we have 766 miles to go, so until we really get below 500, there's no certainty of that. I mean, in theory, we've got 440 miles, which is why I didn't pull over in 4.5 hours till we need to rest, which would get us below, because now we're basically at 16 hours of drive time is what it's telling me, so we should at least be getting to the point where we'll be delivering the same day after a couple hours, so we'll see if we can do that. But that's all then dependent on everything working. I mean, at this point we know that we don't need to stop anywhere other than for fuel, because the next 3 or 4 towns didn't have anything. Now, do we go to the right here? We're too far out to know. No, we go straight. Okay.
Go straight on.
Because again, we can't always trust the GPS on these non-standard maps. There are sometimes errors in routing. I think that's a Tesla. It'd be nice if he moves over to the right. He certainly has enough room now. gonna say he's not gonna move over to the right because... Ooh, he slowed down. That was bad. I did not like him doing that. So, not sure. I don't think we're actually climbing. I think it's because I slowed down a bit. Alright, yeah, that's on my side. That car ahead of that other car scared me a bit, like, is that one coming this way? But then I realized he was moving with us. So, it has given us a lot of traffic, that is for certain. Doing this at a hill is a bit brave. Probably stupid, honestly, but it looks like we've only got these two cars and then we're clear of any traffic for a bit. At least we can't see any. Alright, is he going? Yes, he's going with us, so I guess we're not clear. Move back over. Just keep an eye out in front of the bus for something appearing, because then that would likely be a vehicle coming the other direction. Alright. So now we get to catch the bus. Again, hopefully we'll catch him after we crest the hill. Not really. It's gonna be close. No, it's flat enough I can see to the... Oh, and here comes somebody, so I need to get over. Alright, below 700. But yeah, the real time is kind of going down, as one would expect, so we may have 40 plus minutes before we're done. Because, yeah, this seems to be taking a bit longer to, you know, because we're not going slowly, but I'd say it's still 4 or 5 seconds per mile, so
Go straight on.
clearly that takes some time then. Oh, I had a little bit of a panic moment. I'm like, that is way sharper than it appears on the map, but luckily we made it. The rest of these look like nice sweeping turns, so we should be okay. And yes, that was Nakina, which was one of those that, again, if we had something, it might have been worth a drive if it was the only thing with a dealership, but there was none up there. But yeah, I think we'll be crossing over, well, not shortly. This is a very big province. Iroquois Falls, Sault Ste. Marie. Like, I don't know any of these towns, so, like, it's really not something I'm familiar with as to what province it might be. Just kind of looking for something that might be the capital, but I don't know that it's on here, which would be weird. You would think they would have the capital of the province there, and they might. They probably do. I just don't know what it is. Oops. Didn't mean to move over that quickly. Or that early, I should say. I would prefer to be doing this when I can see around the turn. But worked out. We're being very blessed so far. Yes, there comes somebody, so timing worked out. He's got a big tractor. We're familiar with that kind of a load. We had that. So yeah, we're still not below 600, so it kind of gives you an idea. Like, this is definitely slower in this area. Very strange. But the good news is, at this point, we are at... Let me look at the map here for gas. Alright, is Hearst... I'd really rather not go to Hearst, but I don't think I can get that far. Alright, because we are at the point now where if I rest, assuming this is accurate, I can make it. It's 12 and a half hours, and we'll get... So, we'll fill up on gas, because we are basically approaching half. We're at 274. And then we will... oh, there's a truck on the other side. I was kind of looking and thinking, I'll just pull around because there's only one truck, but there's two. Boy, oh boy. Alright. Well, we'll pull in here. And then I'm going to have to back out, obviously. Alright. So now this will be a real early morning. So we're going to be in the dark for a long time here, but... Whoops. Hitting the spacebar to change directions again, back in my farm simulator automated brain. Alright. So, 13 hours and 58 minutes till we need to rest. 12 hours and 31 minutes till we're supposed to deliver, is what it tells us, but beginning to question if this is accurate given the way this thing is just slowly eating the miles. So I'm going to be half curious and see if I remember when I'm editing this video, but I think the time that I'm going to say that Sim Dashboard gave me at the beginning, I think we're going to be an hour or more over that, so I think it just was optimistic. So it's key to know that crossing all of Canada takes a long time. But yeah, what we may need to do, like the next rest stop on the road, will be our next fuel point for sure. And then, you know, we might be able to avoid going into the towns and having any further delays that way. But obviously taking off when we did, you know, it was basically 3 a.m. It's going to be dark for a while, so, you know, apologize for that. But otherwise, I think we would have had to pull over at Hearst, and overall that would probably just add 5-10 minutes additional time to all of this just to get to what we needed to in the town because of how we know the street lights work and the time it takes to move around a town. My hope is that since it's early morning, you know, basically overnight, that we'll have very light traffic at this point, because that would be the one blessing, certainly, that would be nice here. Yeah, but if I look at my odometer on the Sim Dashboard, which does roll up with the 1/10 of a mile, it is definitely progressing far slower. Oh boy. It is green, which is good, but we still have to slow down because we have nowhere else to go. But the good news is at least we didn't have to stop. And of course, yes, now all these cars are going to decide they're going to want to pass this truck. And as long as he takes off, I'm okay with that, but otherwise, not so okay with that. Alright, he may be turning here. So then he's out of my way, which is awesome. I don't think we hit Hearst yet. Alright, so we're under 550. But yeah, it is taking, because normally I can almost not see the 10ths change, and I'm able to see every 10th go by on the odometer. So, like I said, we're definitely moving much, much slower than we were, which is interesting. But I guess, you know, probably in the map you can set what the scale is, and somehow the scale here changed. But yeah, I think this is Hearst. And once again, like these other towns that were nearby, I'm going to assume we're not going to discover it. It'd be a sweet blessing if we can. Because certainly the more towns I have available, the better.
Go straight on.
But yeah, nope. Because at this point we're kind of past the halfway point of passing the town is what I mean. So yeah, we are not going to discover it. So another one bites the dust on that. Yeah, I can't, I'm just drawing an entire blank of what other provinces there are in Canada. Yeah, it is not coming to me. Trying to think. Oh, is it New Brunswick? I wonder if that's what it is. I think that's a province. Well, now we've suddenly got all kinds of cars coming the other way. I'm not sure if I'm going fast enough to pass him, but my hope is at some point we'll obviously catch him, and then, yeah, they hit the brakes like that to let us by. Alright, we're below 500 miles. But I'm thinking until we exit the province at a minimum, I'm assuming the scale of progress does not change. But obviously it can, because it does that, like in cities when you play ATS or ATS, either one of them. But yeah, at this point I'm a little bit on a mission to just finish. I really would have liked to have been done. But now it's just kind of a matter of principle to get it done. And yes, at this point, now that we're below 500, when I fill up gas the next time, should be the last time. So the good news is we don't need to rest, and then once we stop again, we will not need to fuel. Unless the fuel is being consumed at a different rate than the distance is being consumed, which would, again, be an unfortunate, that I would call a bug, or just poor design in the map, because I'm not sure what causes that, but because right now we're about 100 or about 90 miles short of the fuel we need, so I'm just not sure it's going to stay at that same ratio until we get there. But it was after Hearst that we then had the fuel and rest stop attached to the road again, so I think it's the next thing we're going to see come up before another town. But we are still above 400 miles, so it is, because at the pace it's going, it's like we might be going down like 10 miles a minute. I mean, so it takes about 10 minutes to go 100 miles. Alright, I think, yep, that's where we want to stop for fuel. So we'll see, 314. But I think we're seeing the gas station already. And yes, it's 306, 397, so yeah, we are at least maintaining that 90-mile difference, so basically, yeah, we're under 400 finally, and we'll be at whatever it is, 506 or something when we fill up. $504, so, and then it's like the moment you leave the pump, it immediately, well, it didn't yet, so maybe it'll actually let me get out of here before it drops a mile. Oh boy, so vehicles have passed us. Oh well. Maybe they'll pull fast and far enough ahead that they'll vanish and they won't re-render. Don't know. But yes, 503 to 395 on gas. So we have over 100-mile-an-hour cushion, or 100-mile cushion on gas. And then 8 hours 21 minutes to 11 hours 1 minute. So not quite a 3-hour gap on time. But at this point, that means we should be delivering on Thursday night. Because we should. So, cross our fingers. Well, this also worked out because, yeah, we've got a few turns here, but I'm not going at full speed yet, so that gives me a little bit of a slower traversal through these, although this is getting close, so if it starts to feel a little tight, no, there's something up there, whether it's the bus and the car, remains to be seen. They're too far away to really know, but we are slowly revving up to the speed. Are we near the provincial border? We are. Okay, now I don't know that I looked at Rouyn-Noranda. I think I did. And then obviously, then Maniwaki is where we're going, and nothing to discover there. But yes, so Quebec is where we're at, but there was a province in between Manitoba and Quebec. I'm gonna go with New Brunswick at this point because I just don't know what else it would be, and I think that in my head is a province. Don't know. So there's at least an elevation difference in this province, I will say that, but not a lot of improvement in the repetitiveness of the scenery. So the landscape's a little bit the same. Just looks like maybe a bit wider on the trees, but I don't know. So we have gotten lucky in that we've been pushing the envelope on the speed. I never really slowed down to the really 70 that I should be at, and luckily we haven't run into any police to ticket us for that. So I'll take that. Just, it's slow enough. Oh, I thought that might have been one. I'm like, we just might have lost our luck. But, oh boy, there's a lot of cars there. Somehow I'm thinking, wow. We are very, very, very lucky. But I'm assuming, obviously, the Quebec sign will be in French, too. Or may mainly be in French, and English may be like the second language on it. I don't know. But we should be finding that out shortly. I thought it was going down to one lane, but it is not. Which, again, is a great thing, because that way I have a passing lane. I don't have to do anything else. I'm trying to remember, I think here we do have a... Maybe it's just a sharp turn, because I was going to say there was something...
And then continue straight on.
Okay, so what do I do? Go to the right? Yes, okay. So I need to be over there.
Go straight on.
And then sweep around. So, but yeah, we do have a little bit of a slowdown there. Oh, we're below 300 miles. Look at that. That snuck up on me. Oh boy. I'm not really going that fast. I don't understand why that turn became such a challenge, but it did. I almost ended up in the end of that guardrail. That, again, would have been pretty typical to what happens is I start driving very recklessly at the end, and then, but I really wasn't at that point. It's not like I was trying to make the turn at 80 miles an hour, so don't know. But with that name of the town, I would think this would be in Quebec already. No, not yet. Alright, so we're coming up on it. Alright, that's definitely a tight turn, but North American van lines, but a box truck. I don't know that I've ever seen a North American box truck. That's interesting. But maybe that's what they have up in Canada. All right. So our final province is coming on. Snap-on Tools. Bison Transport we've had. There is the sign. There you go, bonjour. Doesn't even say Quebec on it. They just expect you to understand. We're saying it in French and French only. You are in Quebec. Little Frito-Lay van there. Very neat. I think we're a little bit closer to where the miles used to go, where now, yeah, they're kind of jumping up in faster pieces. So maybe these last couple hundred miles will go by quicker than we've had things happening in the mystery province.
Go straight on.
Yep, Maniwaki. There it is. So, nobody... Obviously, there was one place to exit. I'm assuming that third lane is going to close off, so I'm not going to do anything there. That's probably good the cars were there, because this was a pretty sharp turn. I could have turned ugly before I knew it. I mean, I could see it on the map as sharp, but it really was. So yeah, if I recall, we head east a bit, but then we start going south, so that's what we're looking for on the map. And I think once we start headed south, at least we know we're getting close, because I think then it was on that southern stretch that... The same Frito-Lay van? I don't think he would have passed us, so it might be a different one. Just might be a couple of them. But yeah, we've still got a 108-mile buffer. And we've got over 8 hours till we need to rest, and barely over 4 hours till we should be there. So that actually seems quicker, because if we really get there in the 4 hours, we'll be there around lunchtime, and initially we were kind of getting there at dinner time. So I think that's definitely a symbol that Quebec has got more of the regular mileage movement, because I think since we're going as fast as we are, we're making up some time on the delivery window. But under 200 miles now. Alright, one of those kind of fake exits, I guess. I don't know what else you'd really call it, because that's honestly what it is. It goes nowhere. It's just to have their... I mean, it would have to be, I assume, for future expansion. Alright, that was a bit of a tight turn. Alright, well, we have to pull over. I'm going to assume we will, so I'll move over here. We don't. Very nice, very nice. But once again, I think the way these maps are drawn, it discovers not only the road, but the way station, which it did.
Keep right, and then exit right.
Okay. So, yes, clearly that's what we want to do, so we'll fall in behind him. Because that, I don't want to be diving over. It's just, it's too close now to do something really stupid. So, not that it's good to do something really stupid at any point, but it would be a crying shame now. So, just below 150. And yeah, it's telling me 9 minutes, which is about what is the normal pace for 150 miles, which is why, like I said, something got botched up in how that one province is done. But oh well. Something to keep in mind if we're traversing across Canada again. But I don't know, I may be leaning heavily toward taking a US only trip, but not sure. Oops, I don't know why I did that. I want to go the other way. But yes, now we are heading south, as I mentioned. So we should be getting very close. Alright, let's not go crazy. Again, clearly a sharp turn on the map, and I'm already having a hard time making that turn in reality, so I'm gonna brake. And now we've we've got, again, lots and lots of traffic. Not seeing any other vehicle, so I am going to take the opportunity to try to blow by these folks, keeping an eye out for tiny little cars. But yeah, I mean, that was 7 or 8 vehicles. That was a lot to wait behind. Alright. Another kind of a sharpish turn, so I can't see. Plus, alright, now I can see, so now I will go under 100. Are you as excited as me? I don't know. I need to turn off my turn signal. Okay, we have 200 till empty, almost 7 hours to rest. I think we're good. It's telling me just under 2 hours to get there, so at the lunch hour is when we'll be delivering, unless something severely changes here. So this one seems sweeping enough, but that next turn, not sure. I think again, I just don't want to lose it in the last 75 miles. Alright, we don't need that rest or gas. It's a good thing, but yes, if we were continuing, we're at 178 miles and counting. So it's going to be like 170 or 160 by the time we get to the gas station. So definitely would be refilling here at a minimum. And yeah, we're at 172. Alright, under 5 real minutes. I hope that's true, because I am ready. I am so ready. But yeah, no different scenery in Canada. I'm sure Ontario probably, again, does have it. There's a car coming the other way, so we can't do this. I was worried that truck that just appeared was on our side, but it's not. And that is very much what I did. I've had trucks run up on me exactly like that and then move just before I felt they were going to run me over. So I do think that way I am properly executing my truck driving duties. But at this point, we should be seeing Maniwaki showing up on the map anytime now. So yeah, I think we're going to catch those vehicles before we get there still. We're not that close. Unless we have to go down that road. Yeah, we do have to go down that road. Okay. So maybe we won't catch them before the intersection then. Question is, are they turning where we're going to, or are they continuing on?
Get ready to turn right.
So we'll see. They appear to be slowing down quite a bit.
Turn right.
But no, they're not. Alright, so no immediate traffic unless something shows up on the road here. Well, there's a lot of stones there on the side here. So this is certainly different. And we'll see if we see the refinery as we get closer off to our right that we're delivering to. Although, looks like some pretty dense trees, so we may not. Because, yeah, I think it would be right in front of us.
Get ready to turn right.
And then we'll turn here.
Turn right.
And then I don't know how quickly it'll give us the discovery of the town. Because, yeah, I wonder if it's like almost right after you turn off. It might almost be worth... No, it's not. But it should be before we get to... Or by the time we get to the first road, if nothing else. But, yeah, we've got it already.
Turn right.
Almost hit that pole. That was a little close. But there is the refinery, and it looks very similar to where we dropped off. Maybe we will be backing in the way that I thought would be interesting. No, it looks like it's over to the side. So, let's see. So I apologize if you're hearing something in the background. Suddenly, our cats have started fighting down here next to me, so... Alright, let me do that. I think we're gonna be... Oh, wow. Wow. That is not an easy park job. Alright, well, let me back up. This better be worth 90 points. I mean, the only benefit is because I've got a stub nose, almost like a... Well, it is. I mean, it's a Russian tractor, so it's like... I was going to say it's like a European truck. It is a European truck. Or an Asian truck, depending on what we want to call it. But yeah, we'll do this, and we're going to have to then bring it in that way. So we'll let this keep angling over. I need to make sure then I can turn. So follow that, but we want to stay to that far side. The question is, yeah, how much do I need to keep moving? But this is the most challenging parking I've had on this series, I will say. But yeah, we'll see what we can do here. I should be able to make it. Going slow. So, again, sorry for the sounds if you're hearing it, but they are being a little crazy. Alright, I'm not sure that I'll be able to straighten out here, but we'll see. Well, we don't actually have to. It's gonna let us drop the trailer there, which is good, because that's where we need it. So let's see what we've got. Again, we should have at least one level. So there you go, we got 1,000. So yeah, we actually broke 10,000 because of that 1,000 bonus. But we're past halfway into level 28. So to level 29, we've got to get to 96,400. So that's, you know, but we are already at 93,600. So we basically have 3,000, and basically from the previous level, it's exactly 7,000 on 29. So yes, as long as we find a route that does, well, problem is we might need a route that does over 10,000. I'll do that, and then we'll figure out what we want to do after that. But no, pretty happy with that. I mean, we do have Western Star listed here. We just don't have Kenworth, but we know there's Kenworth dealers, so. But anyway, thanks for tagging along. We're getting close. We're getting close to the point where we're going to have our truck. So I will see you next time.